Oh, now we're streaming live. Hello, YouTube.
Hey! Just when we were going to say,
Just when we were like, well, maybe we're not supposed to be here today.
And then,
we are.
yes, we are.
There's infinite possibilities.
Yes, goddess.
Yes, goddess. All right.
Hey,
Hi,
everybody. Hey, Ramona. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, goddesses.
Yeah.
We are grateful to be joining with you again today.
Talking about Pope Joan.
Yeah.
Who knew? There was a female pope. You know, in the goddess world, there are infinite possibilities, and this is exactly what we need to hear. Is the story about Pope Joan. And of course there are the other goddesses that give us the same kind of energy in a lot of ways, but I really am enjoying these new entities, these new divine feminine cards that we've been pulling. And I before we started recording, I was cracking up reading this, because this is just, you can't make this up. I mean, well, I guess you could, but this is how it goes with Pope Joan. Are you ready? Can I read this?
Go for it.
All right, everybody. Who is Pope Joan? She embodies the truth that all things are possible. According to popular legend, there was a female pope who reigned for 3 years in the 9th century. Right, that's quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
She was a brilliant, highly educated woman who entered the Catholic Church in Rome by cross-dressing as a man so she could be with her lover. All right, intelligent and quick-witted, she rose through the ranks of the church hierarchy and was eventually elected as the Pope. But wait, there's more. 3 years into her reign, she was in a procession from St. Peter's to the Lateran in a lane once known as the Via Sacra, which is the sacred way. Her true sex was dramatically revealed in the middle of the sacred way when she gave birth, surrounded by a shocked and astounded crowd.
Wow.
Wow. This is one woman. And the legend goes on that she was killed immediately, or that she was this and that. I mean, what's happened after that? There are a couple of different stories.
Yeah.
It wasn't really until the 13th century that anybody started to write about it. So between that and it was all legend. Anyway, I like the idea that our intention for this was the possibilities are limitless because the soul is limitless. You know, she saw there was a glass ceiling, and there was something.
She broke it.
She broke it, you know, and because she imagined that the sky's the limit. I can have what I want.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm going to do it, because her soul's purpose apparently was to be the Pope. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we see that in a lot of the goddesses and these female deities that we revere. And I needed to hear that this week. I don't know about you, Ramona. I'm sure you've been coming across a few.
Yeah, I think that it's real easy to find yourself into a space of feeling lack, right? You know, that lack mindset is something that I know I've worked with my whole lifetime. Is, you know, the difference between abundance and lack of abundance. And for me, it's all a mindset. You know, how am I observing my life? And so often, abundance for me is amplified by gratitude and honoring what I already have, right? Like, okay, I have all of these amazing things. And when I focus my attention on that, then it's very easy for new ideas and inspirations to flow through me, and for new opportunities to be presented. And I think that that is a tremendously important aspect of the journey. As with every goddess energies that we're working with, whether it's these gods, goddesses that we're told through time, or actually physically women that we're learning about now. This year we're spending time with many of these divine feminine aspects, are coming from people who actually lived in the 3D plane and had a 3D life existence. But so when we are leaning into calling upon the deity or divine feminine aspect that we need support in, right? So that's where Pope Joan's message is coming to us, is, how am I struggling with that mindset of abundance or limitless possibilities? And the truth of the matter is, possibilities are limitless. It's the only thing that puts limits on them is us, is our ego mind saying, well, that's not possible. I talk about this all the time when it comes to dreaming. Like when you are trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do with my life, right? And I have a lot of clients that's what they walk in the door with. I don't know what I want to do with my life, or I have this idea of what I want to do with my life, but I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So then the journey becomes, okay, so maybe you don't need to know how you're going to get there. Maybe you just need to envision it and feel it and live it, and then watch it unfold for you. As long as you don't have these tight reins trying to control the direction of the energy. And I won't go into details, but I was sharing with Paige, I had this vision for my year this year. I have absolutely no idea how the heck it was going to happen. I was like, I don't know how that's going to happen, because that seems impossible compared to the rest of my life experiences, right? Mm-hmm. So then it became, well, this is what I want. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to send that request to the universe and say, this is what I need. Can you please help me with this? And then trusting that the call was heard. And right now I'm in a state of going, wow, how did that happen? Because I didn't do anything. It just, like, conversations occurred that said, this is the direction you need to go. And so I took those steps to go in that direction. And all of a sudden, this intention that I had set is, like, I can actually see it's going to be completed here by the end of this year, probably, which is huge considering the heaviness of the longevity of the situation that I was dealing with. So again, anything in your life can look like this. And I'm again not going into details, but this was something that I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. And I just kept saying, if it's to be done, then I need help. Please show me the way. And my word for this year is abundance. That is my word for 2021, is abundance. And when I was working the first stages of manifesting with it, so the whole month of January, I got on my mat every day and I envisioned my life abundant every single day for a month. And I didn't put parameters around that abundance. I would state, my affirmations would be, I'm abundant in all ways. And so then I would start naming all the ways I could think of that I wanted to have abundance in my life. Friendship.
Always
time,
and in always.
Yeah. Friendship, time, money, work, play, family. Like, I just threw everything out there. And I let go. Because I can tell you that there's been times throughout my career where I felt like I had to give all of my energy to my job. And I had no time for my spouse. I had no time for my child. I had no time for my self-care. But again, it was a mindset. I decided that that had to have all my energy. So this year, with that abundance mindset, I have time for exercise every day. And I'm talking like I'm giving myself 2 hours a day almost every day to just take care of my body.
Mm-hmm.
I have these, gatherings with girlfriends. I have these excursions with my spouse. I have this quality time with my son. And I'm working as much as I can. And there's still space that I can be working more. And as a result of all of that, my abundance level is high. It is so high right now because I didn't put limits. And so pulling it back to Pope Joan here, I didn't put limits on what could be. I just said, I'm abundant in all ways. Mm-hmm. I am open to abundance in all ways that is for the highest and greatest good of my life and the harm of none. And so I'm going to say that again. Mm-hmm. The highest and greatest good for my life and the harm of none. So anything I'm doing, if it's harming someone, it's not in alignment with my intention. But because I'm manifesting it in that way, everything I'm doing feels really good and positive mm-hmm. and light and airy and loving and kind.
Right.
And our limits are only created by our minds.
That's so true.
Mm-hmm. And Pope Joan is here to ask you, what limits do you need to give attention to that you can let go? And you can allow the limitless possibilities to enter that space. So that's a really good question, friends, to dive into within yourself. What limits do you have with your belief structure, with your time? And I'm going to tell you right now, we can convince ourselves that we don't have the time or energy for something. We can. But we can also convince ourselves that we do have the time and energy for those things. It's a matter of how do I choose to approach this?
That's right. That's right.
And I'm going to tell you right now, the work I do, that ego shows up every day telling me, well, I can't do that. Oh, and I'm going to tell you the response that comes out of Ramona's mouth. Really? Is that so? There's no way for that to ever happen? There's no way for you to create that life experience that you want? And the look on their face is always like, well, that sucks to think about it that way. And it's like, yeah, it does, right? So how about we change that narrative? How about you do the work to change that narrative and say, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is what I want. And this is what I envision for my life. And I'm going to open myself up to that happening. And I have watched the magic happen when people do this, when they release these limits and these attachments to I can't, and open up their heart to I can, and I want, and I will,
and I get to.
Willing, and I get to. Yeah, that's a good one. I have watched magic happen. And that's what we are. We are sparks of magic. So that means we have the ability to abracadabra anything we want into life.
Yeah, that inner dialogue, wow, is so powerful. Mm-hmm. I mean, we think a lot about when we speak out loud, but what we're saying in our head, mm-hmm. that self-talk really can help or harm.
Yeah.
My word right now is that I want to eliminate is should. I've been using that word far too often, to the point where somebody had, I don't know if I spoke about this last Wednesday or not, maybe repeating myself because I talked to a bunch of people about it, but I had just been saying, I should have done that. I should, all those things. And they said, stop shooting on yourself,
Yeah.
And I said, you're right. 11th commandment for this goddess is thou shalt not should on thyself or others.
Right.
I don't want to tell people, well, you should be.
Well, I had a conversation with a soul sister friend, and it was, I don't want to, I don't want to upset you. I said, you're not, because if it's not working, if it's tight, and I say this all the time, if it's tight, it ain't right. If it feels tight in my body, if I'm having a visceral response to something, that is not in alignment with my life or my spirit or my truth. And we live in that tight feeling for so long, that's when disease starts to rise, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual. Because energy is energy is energy is energy. And I'm going to tell you, from somebody who lived in a panic attack for a year, it is not pleasant. It is not pleasant.
I'm grateful that I haven't had a full-blown panic attack yet. I mean, there's always the opportunity. So I can't totally relate, but I can relate to being on the verge of that, and just being uncomfortable in that is enough for me to go, whoa. Well, so we got to do something here.
And to be honest with you, I had been living in so much fight or flight and so much of that negative lack mindset. I had been living there for so long that I didn't know how to get out of it. And so the process of getting out of it was ignited by my body refusing to do what it was supposed to do anymore. Like, it started shutting down. My body started revolting against me.
Yeah.
Revolting.
That's pretty.
And that was it. I could not maintain that anymore. So it's interesting because I think about it. My son was in 5th grade and he's graduating from high school this month. So that means that this happened because it was this summer. It was the summer solstice is when it started, because I was in New York, and that's where it started, was when I was in New York. And so that was his 5th grade year. So that's 4, 5, 6. That was 8 years ago. 8 years. And now where I am, where I see my life right now and who I am and the work that I've done.
The number 8 completion. It's circled back on itself, and now you've realigned. Yeah, that's a long time to be in that fight or flight. It's like an addiction. It's like when you're addicted to something, and it's, man, when you're stuck, you're stuck, and this is not good. This is not good. But you can't see a way out. But there's a way out of all of that. But, I'm just thinking that when I dream about the possibilities, that gets me excited, and I get that feeling like you were saying, but it's different, because some people ask me, well, how do I know if it's, I have this feeling not in my stomach about doing this, is it in alignment or not? How do I know? And I would just say, you kind of, if it is like a feeling of excitement, like,
well, yeah, and that's how that's how I pose the questions I have to my clients that I'm working with that are in that I don't know, and I'm like, okay, well, how does it feel when you think about doing this? And then how does it feel when you think about doing this? And I typically have them close their eyes so they're going inward so they can really hear their body talking to them. And when I ask a question that feels in alignment, you can see it on their face. There's this little smirk or even a smile, or like their face becomes brighter in that moment. Versus if you ask a question that's out of alignment, it almost feels like they kind of weigh in, they sink into this heaviness a little bit more. I just actually did that with somebody this past weekend, a good friend of mine, and so it was really wild to watch their experience unfold.
Yeah, wow. I had somebody point out that when I was describing a situation in one part, when I was done, she said, "Do you realize when you were talking about this one part, your voice got really soft and you kind of, like this. But then when you were talking about the other part, it was, you just were like page turned on and your voice got brighter." And, and I went, oh, I was talking about a couple of people in my life, and this one, the effect of this one person literally was making me small, or I was making myself. It's just, I could see it in you.
It's a response to the energy that's presented, right? And so again, this is part of our lesson with limitless possibilities is what people, experiences, content, whatever you're ingesting is either helping you move into that mindset of abundance, or it is shrinking you down into that mindset of impossibilities.
Yeah.
So, be really mindful of your conversations. That's another thing that came up last week with someone, is that there was a conversation that was happening. I said, is that really how you want to feel? And is that really what you want to be doing with your time and energy? And they were like, I really don't. And I said, well, the reason that you're so wound up right now energetically is because energetically you're staying wound up because of these intakes that you're taking from conversations or dwelling in your mind. I said, so how do you change that? By choosing not to ingest that energy. So energy is ingested in all of your senses. So our intuitive senses are their counterpart is our physical senses. So we have sight, we have hearing, we have hearing, we have touch, we have touch. So if you kind of think of all of your senses, you also have those external senses that are energetically based, that are also talking to you. So when you're ingesting vibrations that are higher and leading you towards where you want to go, your intuitive senses are a lot sharper. When you're ingesting energies that are denser, your mind is a lot more in control. So becoming the witness of what you're choosing to ingest is really, really important. Really, 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 really important. And, Pope Joan put herself in in a place where she had to pretend to be someone else, but she did it because she knew that it was part of her path. And because of the time she was living in, there was no other way for her to get there.
Yeah.
But she eliminated the limits and took action and found her way to where she wanted to be, to where she intended to be, to where her purpose was calling her to be.
And what I like, going back to what you were saying earlier about when we find ourselves in a situation where we want to call on one of the goddess entities or the energies and all, it's nice to know that there was somebody, a divine feminine entity, that paved the way even for us. Like when you think, oh, that can't be done. Well, tell you what, it can in the 3rd century, there was a woman
Yeah.
who became Pope,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
You know, don't forget that. And that reminds me that there have been experiences in my life. I have a built-in forgetter. You know, I'll ride that high for whatever happened. And then it's like, boom, it's done. And then I'll be thinking, oh man, you know, can I do that? Or what? And I've forgotten. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time going, hey, you know, you created that. Why can't you create something else? And oftentimes,
Right.
so going back to that lack or abundance mindset, a lot of times their reasoning is, well, I don't think I should ask for too much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, oh no, that's, let's move beyond that, because that is not serving you.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
dream big, sisters.
That's right. That's right. Share with us what your
Yeah.
big dream is. What will you be doing right now if there were no limits?
No limits.
You had all the money in the world you needed, or all the people, all the support, whatever that you feel like you don't have. And what would you be doing right now? Right. And imagine that feeling of doing it. Right. So you bring in that energy, and all things are possible. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Goddess, thank you for our chat. I hope that our message has found some inspiration for you today. We'd love to hear back anything you have surfaced within yourself. Please feel free to share in our feed. And we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.